Business thrown a lifeline as SA moves to level 2 lockdown. The restrictions have been straining businesses, threatening their survival and jobs as SA battles with the world's highest unemployment rate. The limit for indoor gatherings has been increased from 50 people to 250 and the outdoor limit from 100 to 500 people. Restaurants and bars need to close at 10 p.m, an hour later than the previous restriction of 9 p.m. Ramaphosa urged the nation to get vaccinated as soon as possible. The government now has ample stock and instead of confronting long queues at vaccination sites, is battling to generate demand. Bad news for South Africans with cash stashed in Mauritius. The Mauritius Revenue Authority recently announced that foreign trusts held in Mauritius would no longer be exempt from income taxes in either Mauritius or South Africa. In May 2020, the European Commission added Mauritius to a list of high-risk third countries. The list identified countries presenting deficiencies in the way they addressed anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist frameworks, known as the EU blacklist. Mauritius wants to get off the list by cleaning house, and foreign trusts are their first target. South Africans are urged to disclose Mauritian trusts to avoid prosecution. Constantia is named one of the richest suburbs in South Africa. New World Wealth has published its annual Wealthy Cities Review. Cape Town was named the second richest city in Africa with a total wealth of $130 billion. New World Wealth said that most of this wealth is concentrated in a few suburbs, of which Constantia is one. A house in Constantia Upper now has an average price of 14 million rand. This is a 100% increase over the last 10 years. Research shows that among South Africa's adult population, the average wealth held in a personal capacity is 326,000 rand. Among the top 10%, this average shoots up to 2.79 million per person. This is concentrated even further in the top 1% at 17.8 million per person. Standard Bank to open branches inside PickNPay stores in South Africa, and Constantia to open soon. Carnage Casualty. July retail trade sales fall 11.2% from June. This is the biggest monthly decline since April 2020, when the sector cratered under the weight of hard lockdown restrictions. July 2021 was that bad, largely because of the mayhem and madness unleashed after the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma for his smearing contempt of the Apex Court. This July data seals the case for the South African Reserve Bank to hold interest rates steady next week when its Monetary Policy Committee meets. It is also likely to lead to further downward revisions in South Africa's economic growth forecasts for 2021. Stanlib's chief economist Kevin Lings commented that this is a massive negative for SA's effort to lift economic activity. SARS risk pushing wealthy taxpayers to take their money out of SA. SARS has established a high net worth division focusing on South Africa's wealthiest taxpayers and ensuring they fully comply with the country's tax laws. SARS have sent out welcome letters to some of these taxpayers, confirming that the recipient will be assigned a dedicated relationship manager to oversee their profile, who will serve as their direct point of contact. Many of the country's biggest taxpayers believe the unit is unlikely to make much of a dent in closing the country's tax gap, and that the increasing targeting could be the final push for many wealthy taxpayers to instead take their money out of South Africa. The facts are, although some high net worth individuals are out to avoid or evade tax, SARS can't rely on only a small percentage of taxpayers to close the tax gap. SA firms are choosing debt over issuing shares. Global surge in initial public offerings has so far eluded South Africa. A lack of confidence in the country's economic recovery are pushing companies toward more affordable funding sources. Companies have raised a record $467 billion on the world stock exchanges during the first 8 months of this year. But in Johannesburg, 21 companies have instead delisted in 2021. But a number of companies are privately contemplating listings from 2022, according to Richard Stout, head of equity capital markets at Standard Bank.